Hi, it's me. Welcome to Makeup by the Numbers. So today on my channel, I'm going to have another fun video. Normally, I try to do something a little bit review-oriented, something that really triggers, that OCD sense in all of us. But today I just wanted to play around and have fun, mostly because Natasha Denona just launched her I Need a Nude palette, and that palette is beautiful, but I am not going to get it. I just got her Yucca palette, and I feel like it has slipped off the radar so quickly because of the rush of launches and the number of palettes that have come out in just the last month. So to refresh your guys, here is the Yucca palette, these beautiful, almost neutral leaning brown and green tones with some really wet look metallic shimmers, and then definitely some green undertones and, well, some green overtones. There are some green shades in here. So it's a gorgeous palette. But one of the complaints that I've seen some other creators, they've said, and there's some legitimacy to this, is that the looks tend to start to look similar. As you create more and more looks, you don't really feel the advantage of having a 15 pan palette. So I kind of want to show you an example of how that might happen. So you do have some shades in here that are a little bit similar. So for example, you have Acacia, which I will swatch, Tipu, which I will swatch, and Valley, which I will swatch. So if you look at these, they look very similar. They're very on the same tone and they're on the same hue. They're just slightly shades off. So if you create a look, let's say I want to do Acacia and Calathea, and then I do a look with Tipu and Willow, and then I do a look with Valley and Flax. The end result is that as I blend these out with each other, they're all going to get similar. And the really only reason this looks different is because I used Willow here, but if I were to use and compare it with the shimmers, I'm just swatching the 3 gold shimmers and putting those on top. They do start to look similar because it's just tones on tones on tones, which is part of the beauty of having a curated palette, that you can mix and match those tones and create different looks. So as I clean off these swatches, one of the things that I want to show you is to avoid substituting similar tones in the same position in all your makeups. So if you are always putting one of those 3 light mid-tones in the transition of your eye, you're not going to see the benefits. If you're always doing a dark green and you always do Calathea or Willow in your waterline, and if you always darken the outer corner with Flax or Valley, I don't really feel like it's the palette. I feel like you're doing it to yourself. And that's how a lot of people do their makeup. They have like their own look or their own style or their own preferences. And if it works for them, fantastic. But some of us need a little help with that creativity. So I figure the easiest way to force that creativity and to create 5 looks in one palette that look very, very different is to play with these shades and not to pick and reach for the shades that I might normally go for in like my daily makeup look. So I'm actually going to create 5 looks. I'm not going to repeat any shades, and I'm going to force my hand, if you will, by using them in the columns. I figure that's nice. I can create 5 looks. I can use 3 shades each. 3 is all you need for a makeup look. Trust me, you can use more, which is fantastic, but, well, heck, you can do a one and done look. But I think people underestimate the power of 3. And I'm going to go by Rose, and we're going to see how that turns out. It's going to be challenging here with no matte, no shimmers, and then only 1 matte, but we'll see. That's the fun of it. That's enough talking. Let's get to playing. I've already done my base makeup, and I have my eyes primed with my Urban Decay Primer Potion. So I'm going to start off creating 1 look, and I feel like this is going to be my basic look that's going to make sense. So I'm going to take Tipu, which is a mid-tone matte, and I'm going to blend just above my crease. Now, since I have kind of medium hooded eyes, I do like to blend above my crease. I'm gonna get my mirror down. It just makes life so much easier when you have something close to you. And I'm just using Tipu. I don't know how to say any of these shade names or where she got them from. I usually look it up, but there's so many of them, I don't know. Now I'm using kind of a rough hand, and I'm gripping my brush kind of high because I'm working quickly, but you can definitely take your time and blend this out and really soften it up. And I'm just going back and forth to make sure my eyes are even. In fact, Change of plans. I'm not going to do both eyes because I'm doing 5 looks. I'm going to wear 2 different looks at a time. So we'll see. That'll be fun. So keeping my brush clean. I always wipe my brush before and after. I'm going to deepen up the outer corner with Flax, which is that dark brown, and that is, that's definitely one of her cream to powder finishes. I'm only putting it on about the outer third, and I am creating kind of a V shape, and I'm also winging it up ever so slightly. Don't worry that I'm messy. I'm just messy, but I'm going to clean it up later. Well, later for me is also now. So start softening it in the crease and really blending it into Tipu. If you need more of your transition shade, feel free to grab it. But I'm just going back and forth, and I am doing a windshield wiper motion because this is my darkest color and I don't want to drag it up. And then softening this wing out here, which I've made pretty dramatic, but you don't need to. You can do whatever you're comfortable with. And then even smudging it a little bit along the lash line. That's why I only put it a third out, because I knew I was going to smudge it. So I didn't want to drag it out too much. I am going to add a little bit under my eye as well. Just the outer third. And then mirror what I do on the top. And bring it all the way into the inner corner. I don't do very dramatic under eyes simply because I have a lot of darkness and a lot of shadowing. So I don't really like to bring dark shadows too far under my natural eye. I'm using a cotton pad in my solar water, but you could have used tape, you could use a makeup wipe, you can use a lot of things. And I just take my wing and I wipe up, that gives it nice and sharp, and then I don't like it to go too far past my natural brow, so I just soften it a little bit. I'm going to wait for that to dry because I can't blend out my eyeshadow on wet skin, right? Pat it dry and then ever so slightly soften it. If you have a skin tone shadow that you can put on your brush, that'll really, really soften it, but that's not my challenge today. And then for Plantasia, this absolutely gorgeous shimmer. Ooh. I'd say it's got a copper reflect. It's gold with a copper reflect all over the inner 2/3 of my lid. Back to Plantasia and really layer it on. Some people don't like using your fingers. If you have acrylic nails, I understand that can be a little bit challenging, but I always feel like you get the best payoff. And then I use my brush just to get that inner corner because my fingers are too thick for that. Let's finish off the look with some eyeliner now. So I've done my liquid. I did my baby wing, which is kind of how I prefer to do it, in a medium thick liner with a taper into the inner corner, and I just used my dry makeup brush to smudge it. Now for the waterline, I'll probably do, I like my Tarte Fake Awake, simply because that's what I do on a typical day, which is kind of what I've done for this look. And then I have a lash lift, so I'm gonna go pretty light in the mascara. I'm gonna use a tubing mascara. I'm using this Cali Ray just because I feel like it just goes on best with the lift without clumping or interfering with kind of the natural, well, decidedly unnatural effect I've got with my lashes, but I think it just looks the best. I think other mascaras don't work with a lash lift as well. So that's a look. That's a pretty look. But that's not the challenge. The challenge is not 1 look, the challenge is 5. And we show you my palette again so you can see the 3 shades I'm going to be working with. So I have Calathea, which is that green, Elysian, which is the silver, and Fuchsia, which is definitely the most bright orange toned. My strategy, because I have 2 competing shades that aren't going to blend well, I think I'm going to do one in my lower waterline and one along my upper waterline, if that makes sense. I guess it's not a waterline, it's a lash line. I'm going to take Fuchsia, and that's going to be my lower because I felt like it. Then I'm going to take Calathea. I'm going to do the opposite of that, and I am cleaning off my brush in between applications. So when I switched colors here, I absolutely switched. Calathea isn't as dark in the pan that's known. And this is another cream to powder shade. I'm actually going to use this to kind of wing out a little bit. and bring it almost into the inner corner. I'm going to use my finger just to clean it up there so I don't have the shades overlapping, because again, I just don't want mud. I just want green and orange together on my eye. I'm actually going to switch to a liner brush. It's just an angled liner, so I can really deepen up that eyeliner effect. And I know sometimes people say don't pull your eye. Don't pull your eye when you're setting where your eyeliner goes, but if you have a lot of loose, stretchy skin, you're gonna have to. Even professionals will pull your skin, just not when they're mapping out where your product goes. Okay, and that really intensified it. And take Elysian, which I said is the silvery pewter shade, and that's gonna go on the lid above Calathea. And this is a pretty intense shimmer, so I'm not going to bring it too far on my lid. I don't want, to break out my hood by putting something reflective on it. That's going to make it look puffy and big, and that's not what I want. I will take just a little bit of Calathea and soften up my outer corner. I use a little bit at a time, and then I build it up. And kind of recreate my eye crease using this soft matte green. And about 2/3 in, and then I'm going to put a little bit of Elysian in my inner corner. Make sure it goes all the way in. And then I do need to do some blending work. Probably a little tougher to blend because I did use micellar water and removed my eye primer and then left my skin kind of uneven. But that looks really good to me. Let's do liner and lashes. Now to drag out the liner while it's still wet. I'm gonna set it with more Calathea. For my under eye, I think I'm gonna put more of the Fuchsia and really bring out that orange contrast. This was fun. How do I feel about it? I feel like I skipped my mascara. This side of my lashes did not take quite as well as the lift. I'm sorry, it didn't take quite as well in the lift, I guess is what I need to be saying. So I have a few lashes that are flat that I like to build up. I did my lower lashes as well on that side. And I mean, this looks pretty. It's different. It's not what I would wear. I almost never wear orange, but it's pretty. And I think depending on what you wore, it's a good way to incorporate orange without being super dramatic and bright, because the lid is actually super neutral. I mean, it doesn't look that way in the pan, but it depends on your application. And remember that I blended it out and I blended it with silver and gray, so I've got these definitely cool undertones. Which make it look more neutral than it does. But I think the most important thing here when we're deciding which look we like best is that these looks are totally different. And I think that is the lesson that I'm trying to teach here. Now it is time to completely remove my makeup looks, and we'll try again for 2 more. So I'm gonna let that dry, and we're gonna talk about the next look. Now the next look, I don't know what I'm doing. You see I've got 2 shimmers in the middle of the row, and they're both golds. One's gold with gold undertones, and one's gold with some green undertones, and then I have Valley, which is a mid-tone brown. So I think what I need to do to play around with that is probably do some layering. I already know I'm going to need to put Valley all over, so all over. I'm using my finger because again, I'm doing a large sweep in area. I don't really need to blend it at this point. Make sure I get down toward my lashes. Now I'll take my brush and with just a little bit of product on it, blend out my crease. This is actually a really beautiful sculpting shade. It's not too cool, it's not too warm. I like it. Okay. Relax, and my eyes open. I need to get above my hood just a little bit more. Again, double check, eyes relaxed. And then layer. So I think for layer, como ready. Layering's another good way to change up the look of your eyeshadow. All over the lid. I'm going to take a smaller blending brush and soften where it meets the crease, the outer corner, and the inner corner. So for this look, I would normally just use my face highlighter or whatever I have available if I wanted to highlight my inner corner, because this deep gold on my skin complexion is a bit too dark for a true inner corner highlight. And my preference is for shimmer. Again, you can just see the profile here. I cast a lot of shadowing, so I do like a strong inner corner highlight, but you don't need it. And sometimes that's just the fun of shaking up your look and seeing, oh, you know what, I don't need this. You know, I like it, but I don't have to have it. And I think when you don't have to have a certain thing on your makeup, you explore more possibilities. And then macchia, I'm going to use my pencil brush to see if I can do a shimmer under my eye. I love under eye shimmer. I don't put it all over, again, because I don't want a shimmer to travel, but I do really want to pop out and highlight the eyes, and any place where you have reflection is going to draw the eye. And then again, we're layering, so I'm kind of going to do as if I did a halo eye. Personally, I don't want to do a halo eye with these shades, so I'm not going to do one with this palette because there isn't, well, there is something super dark, but not in this column, not for my challenge. I have two similar shimmers. And just put that on the center. So this look was definitely more simple, but I love it. In my under eye, I'm going to put my Fake Awake. But that is only a base for Valley, to give Valley something to stick to. Time for lashes and liner. So this is another look with a palette. I don't think this look looks similar. What do you think? Similar, but very different. Like sisters, but not twins. That's what we're going for. And now the next look is going to be my matte look. So for my matte look, I'm probably thinking something less glamorous, but maybe more smoky. So let's try that. I said smoky, but who does smoky with midtones? I don't know, pale people like me. So I'm just getting the placement of the orange shade Ixia? I don't know. Just putting it on my inner corner. Again, I'm not a neat person when I'm doing this. I'm using a big fluffy brush. I'm gonna use Acacia in the middle. And I'm gonna kind of stripe it because I do want it above my crease so you can actually see the gradient I'm gonna be doing. And then Citrine is gonna go, the lightest shade's gonna go in my inner corner. You don't have to go darkest to lightest, but that usually is considered to be kind of a safe, flattering way to apply your makeup. And then mirror that on the bottom, again, nice and easy. Acacia has similar undertones, which makes it a really good blending shade between Citrine and Ixia. So they're all close enough on the color wheel that I can have this really soft, fun gradient. And I'm using a thicker brush because I'm actually trying to pack on pigment, and I'm not actually worried about blending at this stage. They're soft enough transition that I feel like I've got that already. Don't forget my under eye. Always connect those corners. Well, not always. You can have negative space, but that's not the look I'm going for today. So I'm going to connect them. Just buff out my eye shape here. I'm gonna keep this look pretty blown out. So Make sure my blending brush is extra clean and soften it with nothing on it. And I do have my face highlighter above my brow, but you could always choose to usually add that last, and it would be more prominent. I just, you know, for filming I had it added in first. And that's nice and soft. That's a cool look. That is cool. I don't know how well it's showing up on camera, but that's fun. All right, so I just went and grabbed my kohl liner, and we're gonna have fun with a little bit of a smudgy look. Still don't have the coverage I want, but that's a lot better. And then do a little bit more blending at the top. Dipping into each of my 3 colors. And actually put them a little bit on top of the black liner to create that subtle gradient. And then mascara. You could obviously go in with falsies. It's just with me doing 5 looks today, I'm skipping the falsies. And I don't generally wear them on a daily basis anyway, typically only when I film or when I'm going out. You also see that's probably where I got my love for liner and mascara. I think that's really pretty. And it's super important to note, you know, the color placement is different, the selection of colors is different, and the style of eyeliner is different, the material is different. Like, I'm wearing the same palette, but if I told you these were different palettes, you could honestly believe that as well. You know, they're just similar shades that go well together, but it's not like these colors only exist in Natasha. No, it's just the way she's put them together and the formula she's done it with. So both these looks are really pretty. This is not my usual, but this is so glamorous and pretty, and I do love a graphic wing. Just suits my eye shape really well. But as promised, I have one more look to do. So at this point, my concealer needs to be completely redone. My eyes are also getting irritated. I think 5 looks is the maximum amount of looks that I can do, but it's fun, and this is my first time actually filming this kind of video. I usually watch them. So I'm very excited to go into the editing room and see what I come up with. I also changed out my earrings again. I don't know if you noticed the first time. I think it's so important to stress like how you're wearing, what you're wearing, how you're wearing. The earrings you have, the clothes you wear, how you style it, the colors you put on. Those make such a big impact. So last look will be this last column, and that's gonna be Camu Camu, Ray, and Willow. I have to say this is my favorite row. This is what I'm looking forward to, and it's going to be easy to work with because I have a lid shade, a highlight shade. Finally, I have my inner corner highlight that I've been looking for. And then I also have this really pretty blue. It's not a deep blue. This isn't going to be a dramatic smoky look, but it's going to be fun and bright, and that's definitely my style. It is August. It is fortunately less than 100 degrees out today. I think San Antonio went I'll have to look it up, but we went a long time. It's just nice to not sweat when you're outside for 5 seconds. It takes you like 10 now. Why am I putting on makeup with my left hand? Anybody else find themselves doing stuff really stupid? I'm asking for a mistake. Let's lift up this hood. This is actually why you might notice I don't use a handheld mirror, because I need my hand free to put on my makeup. And I like to lift my eyes outward, so I'm actually doing a diagonal line across my lid. So you can kind of see it start to form. I like get my hood all the way up, the diagonal shape I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing with my brush. I have so much pigment on that eye, I need to stop. It's hard to talk when you're doing makeup. I have like a new respect for people who can just like chatter away and not screw up their look, because I am not one of those people. There we go. Let me clean off my brush. I also have a little bit of fallout, but when you put on as much pigment as I did, that's to be expected. Okay, clean brush, and blend. Now, because I'm doing a shimmer next, I'm gonna blend now. I'm not gonna try to blend and not get that shimmer everywhere. So, using the stiffer side of the brush, softening up the edges, cleaning up that wing. We all know I'm gonna cheat and go right in after that micellar water pad and just clean up those edges. Soften it out. It's really pigmented at a third of the eye, and then it kind of tapers to nothing by the inner third. That's what I want. Outer third to inner third. Sorry, that wasn't clear. Sometimes it's easier to watch what I do than to listen to what I say. I think it's time to switch to an actual blending brush. It's softer. It's actually more gentle on your skin, but it creates that diffused edge, which is what I'm looking for at this point. Once I spread out the pigment, it's just time to blend. Again, if I had a skin tone shadow with me, this would be a great application. You would start with your brow and blend it down versus starting with the pigment and blending it up. And I am going over the places where I've packed pigment because I want to blend that out and make sure that it doesn't end up patchy after I blend. The great thing about Natasha Denona's shadows is that they're pretty difficult to overblend. If I were doing this with a lower quality shadow and I did this sloppy placement and just went to blend it out, it would be much more difficult to do so. And you actually would need to be more careful with your placement and, you know, how intentional you were with your application, which some people do naturally, and some people get gorgeous looks out of drugstore makeup, but I'm not one of those people. Granted, I don't need Natasha Denona quality, but I do love it when I have it. It is a little patchy and I don't have it built up in my crease just because I have oily, creasy lids. So I am gonna take more pigment. More pigment! I like this color. That's better. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, if I were a makeup artist and I were doing a photo shoot, I mean, yeah, I would do my makeup perfectly and I would have taken 10 times as long and everything, but I'm in minute 50 of this video. You know, it won't be at minute 50 by the time, you know, I edit it, and I've done 5 looks. That means I'm taking 10 looks of makeup while talking through it. I think that's reasonable. I think most people have that kind of time in their day. So sometimes you don't get perfect. Sometimes you just get good, and good is great. So I'm taking Ray. Beautiful gold, bright gold, playful gold. Goes great with Willow. Over the center of the lid, inner third. I put it on the center third where I have no shadow, just primer. I'm blending it out so that it slightly overlaps. And it's blending, but it's not covering up Willow. Ooh, that's pretty. You know, I'm also going to take it up above my crease a little so you can see it. Not a lot, you know, don't overdo it. But have fun. And you know, if you don't like it, you can just take it off. You can take off a little bit, you can completely start over. You know, if I can do it with my skill level while talking and having fun, you can do it too. Now I'm gonna go back into Willow. Don't take a shot every time I put this shade on my eye. You would be not in a good condition to drive. Okay, under the eye, let's do green. Oh, it's so pretty. Some people have described this shade as blue, and I will say it has a little bit of each, but not for me. It's definitely a green. It's a bluish green, but it's green. It's actually kind of weird because your gold palette has a shade that looks blue in the pan that you put it on, and it's, I just put so much shadow in my eye. How does that not like hurt? I don't know, maybe I have a superpower. Okay, all the way into the inner corner. But you don't like a dark inner corner, Jennifer. It's not gonna be dark. Remember, I'm doing 3 shades. And I cleaned off my pencil brush. All right, let's put Kama in here. So fun, so bright. Oh, I turned into a flamboyant man when I said that. I don't know why. I feel like this shade turns a lot of people into the more flamboyant side of the spectrum. Because it's fun. It's very pigmented, which is nice. Sometimes these bright neons can be hard to make pigmented, but I'm not going to fangirl over Natasha Denona anymore. You know what? I'm not feeling these earrings. That's better. I like the green that is brought out with that. I have fallout. Not from necessarily this look, but any of the previous 4. So, checking my face, that got the glitter. I'm still going to use my, and then I'm going to put Willow. You're like, what shade is she going to say? Y'all know. In my waterline, and I have enough cream product that it's adhering absolutely fine and isn't, you know, getting in my eye, which is, you know, that would normally be a priority for me, except I think I've determined I have a superpower. Now I'm going to copiously put on mascara because that's how I like it, and I'm actually going to leave this on so I don't need to worry about removing it quickly. Actually came from the back of my lash to get the tip. I stabbed myself with my mascara wand right here. So I like to wait till it's a little bit dry. That wasn't fully dry. Pick it off, and then I can kind of take my finger and just dab my shadow where it needs to be. So that's the finished look. What do you think? Do you think this looked like the other shades? I don't. Definitely less gold and more colorful. This is my favorite look out of all of them. Thank you so much for watching. I'll definitely do this again with another palette because this is fun and this is exploratory, and I think this was all aimed for in makeup, is just to enjoy it and have fun. You know, we're not doing this for other people, we're doing it for ourselves. Beauty is on the inside. That is what I always support, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.